Guys, most of us don't realize that our brain is functioning at different levels, and it is taking up lots of different jobs, in a kind of a jiffy. And like for example, the left hemisphere is responsible for organizing whatever information it kind of catches, and the right side of the brain, the right hemisphere is responsible for processing emotional cues, and also trying to interpret non-verbal cues. So right and left hemisphere both function in a given situation. We also have a brain that is called called the reptile brain, and that actually instinctively reacts, and in split second it takes decisions to kind of survive. So it's like the survival instinct that we have, and it takes decisions in split seconds. So when our children are little, we have to see which part of the brain are we focusing on. Are we trying to only process information, instill logics and reasonings, or are we also catering to the emotional side of the child? So dealing with trauma, there are different traumatic incidents that children undergo, and in fact for them, being separated from their parents or their friends or siblings even for 5-10 minutes, it's a very very big incident, and it's also traumatic. How children actually process this information and how they're able to handle this situation depends upon how you present it to the child. The fact that we all have undergone different traumatic experiences, what we classify as traumatic as children, traumatic experiences vary from child to child, from person to person. So these experiences, they actually form the basis of your child's emotional quotient, and how he or she is able to cope up with similar situations as he or she grows up. So one simple example, that I have come across while I was talking to one of my friends. So she narrates to me an incident where her daughter was traveling with her nanny, and in between she met with an accident. Their car was hit by a big truck, and by God's grace the child was saved, though the nanny was badly hurt. She fractured her arm, and she was also hurt on her head. The nanny instantly called this friend of mine, and she rushed to ensure and to know the well-being of her daughter, and of course the nanny. But there are two ways of dealing with this situation. Situation one is when you tell your child what exactly has happened, and situation two is you just divert the attention of your child. So when this friend of mine goes and interacts with the child is actually traumatized and is scared and is not able to express what has happened, and this child is 2.5 years old, 2.5 years old to be precise. And the daughter is tries to contemplate, and in her own baby language she just tells what has happened. She just says truck, nanny, hurt, got a boo-boo on the head, and she's able to tell what has happened, and in bits and pieces. What the parent does, what the mother does, she has two options. One, she listens and she explains what has happened, tries to talk it out. Second is divert the child to this traumatic experience and move on, probably create a diversion and give a toy to the child, something that diverts his or her mind. The right way to deal with this situation is that you go ahead and tell the child what has happened. Talk about it. You would notice that children keep on repeating the same incident over and over again. Even if it is a small incident where they were playing with the football and they hurt the knee, they're going to keep on reiterating the same instance. This is their way of coping with a situation or a circumstance that they consider to be, fearful or traumatic. So the right way to deal with this kind of a situation is to simply sit with your child and discuss. Let the child narrate the incident over and over again. That is not creating trauma for your child, but it is helping release that pent up trauma that the child has pent up inside him or her. Because the more they express, the better they'll be able to let go of the situation they had been. Distraction is only temporary. Remember, this incident will get etched onto the mind of the child, and the child's mind is like tabula rasa. It's a blank space. Different experiences, emotions, they create different experiences for them. All these emotions, they kind of fill their mind with different images. So it's important that you let the child speak up as much as they can, and once your child has narrated, explain to him or her what has happened, why it has happened. Everything is fine, so let the child know the situation. Parents who share their feelings with their children, I think their kids are more emotionally sound. They're able to manage emotions in a better manner. If you are in a bad mood, you're cross today, you accidentally screamed at your child, and it happens. Sometimes you are busy with your work and your child is pestering you, and you're under stress, and that's a way we release our stress. We just shout at our children. Sometimes it's not that every day it happens, but sometimes if it has happened. So what do? You again don't distract the child. You don't give him or her some toy or some kind of a distraction, some kind of because you have that guilt inside you, so you hand over something to the child. You don't do that. You sit and talk about it. You tell them that, see, this is, mama was angry, accept that it was your mistake too. As parents, we feel we are perfect, but we are not. And children are just exploring, so they're bound to make a lot of mistakes. You point out the mistakes in a very subtle manner, and when it is your mistake, you accept it. So you just tell your child that, dear one, it was my mistake, I was a little cross. See, mama is a little busy with work. She's working very, very hard, and probably you have kind of talked it out to your child, and that incident, that's it settles. So unsettled incidents, emotional experiences that are not settled, they remain in your child's mind for a long period of time, and they do have long-term repercussions. One thing that you should definitely avoid: children tend to make a lot of mistakes. Breaking of fragile items, it's something that keeps happening, and instantly, and it's like kind of a reflex action. You just say, this is very bad, you're a very bad girl, you're a very bad boy, really bad. That is being a very bad child. Go and stand, or turn around your head. This is like your punishment. Or you're not going to go out today, I'm going to shut you inside the room. This technique is not going to work. This punishment technique does not work. It might scare your child off for a few years, but then the child will become a rebel and will want to challenge your authority. The trick is that you build a beautiful connection with your child. And how do you do that? Instead of labeling your child, instead of telling him or her that you're a bad girl, you're a bad boy, you are you've been very, very aggressive, you're very violent. You don't label, you just say the child is not bad, but the behavior was not acceptable. So you say this behavior is not acceptable, and you start this way of talking at a very early stage, even when your child is 2.5, even 1. Your language should be very subtle, and it should be always very motivating, where the child does not feel that I am bad. No child is bad, or but you need to convey the message strictly and sternly that what you have done, this behavior is not acceptable. Instead of using these terms good and bad, you can say it's not acceptable. What you have done is, it's not making me happy, right? Instead of using the word no over and over again, no, don't do this, no, don't jump on the sofa, no, you shouldn't eat too many candies and lollies, what you can opt for is it's a better and a happier method. You just say what the child is supposed to do. You're continuously telling the child, no, don't do this. So the child knows, there are plenty of things I cannot do. So you introduce the child to things that he or she can actually do. Instead of lollies, you can probably have some fruits. Maybe instead of 5 toffees, you can have 2 toffees. Deprivation is not going to help the child at all. Depriving the child of candies and sweets and eatables, which any child would like, even you and I would like to have lots of chocolates and candy. So imagine it, for a child, it's like the entire world. So don't deprive, but your bond should be such with your child that your child should know that, okay, this is acceptable behavior, this is not acceptable behavior. If I am asking my mom or dad for 2 candies, they're not going to be unreasonable, they're going to give it. But if I go on and ask for more and more, that is not appropriate. So do not label the child and try to establish a beautiful bond with your child. That's what I feel. And those of you watching my video, I would request you to drop in your comments and also share your experiences, so that in the process of engaging, we also learn from each other's experience. And if you're liking the content, I would really want you to subscribe and like it and share it with as many people as you feel like. So bye bye, see you next time.